What's up, the world? It's your boy Tommy Malvin. Once again, I just came to kind of give my check-in on what I think is going down in the bread. So, first and foremost, I want to start out by saying, if you're stupid enough to still not believe the value of LeBron James, then I think you need, like seriously, check back over your history, man. I mean, something went wrong between you and LeBron James, because at this point, it's just getting undeniable. I mean, look at his team, right? You got to remember, Anthony Davis went down almost 2 months ago, right? LeBron had this team number one. Now, this team, one man, had this team sitting at the top of the West. One game, at worst throughout the season, I think he dropped 1 or 2 games behind the second seed, right? But he's been pretty much the second seed the entire year, and the Denver Nuggets knew. I mean, Utah Jazz knew it was only a matter of time if LeBron kept playing that they were going to come get him, right? This is the same team that everybody called the All-Star team that said LeBron should be disowned from being the GOAT conversation because he got Montrezl Harrell. Do I need to explain to you people why what you say half the time makes absolutely no sense? When I was telling you that Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder does not make a team a super team. Everybody looked at me, everybody was saying, you know, LeBron apologists, LeBron, these people making up stuff for LeBron. Now that you see and you've made a complete ass of yourself, let me hear you say this team is a super team. When I said Andre Drummond is not a good addition to the Lakers as LaMarcus Aldridge is to the Spurs. I mean, to the Nets. I got people asking me, do I think that LaMarcus that Andre Drummond is a bum? And I would say this. Same thing I said in the last video. No, I never said Andre Drummond is a bum. I said LaMarcus Aldridge will help the Nets more than, LaMarcus Aldridge will add more depth to the Nets than Drummond will add to the Cavs. To the Lakers. Here's my point. Andre Drummond adds a dimension of size on both sides of the ball. He has a big that can shoot a mid-range, which they did not have. He has he added a big that can shoot the three, which they did not have. Yet he's still serviceable enough on defense to be able to add to what you're doing, right? LaMarcus Aldridge is still a damn good player, especially against the Lakers, right? So he may not help them against every single team that they play. There may be some games where they're playing small ball and he's played off the court. But that does not mean against the Lakers he will ever be played off the court. Against the Lakers, he will always be able to play. And he creates a matchup problem for a team that likes to go big like the Lakers do. Or play, or biggest asset is how big they are. Now, that being said, Andre Drummond, I think, is an excellent pickup for the Lakers. I've said this. He's a big man who can roll to the basket. He's a big body who can rebound. I said all these things. He's actually a good defensive player. He can't guard anybody on the perimeter, and we saw that in his debut. And I told people that. And for some strange reason, they want to turn him into Dwight Howard. He's not Dwight Howard. He's not going to be a guard anybody. He can give a stab at it, but he's not going to be good at it. He's just too big. So I hope that little tiff is put to bed. And that being said, can we please end the narrative that LeBron James somehow needs a super team? Because this is a super team that can't. Now the Nets have been they lose a player every 2 days. But D'Antoni's system is the added bonus, right? With D'Antoni's system, it does not matter. As long as you got a point guard that can shoot, all you have to do is run. You run, don't play no defense. Just run, and hope to outscore the other team. As I said before, when you're playing teams in short notice, it's very easy to beat them when you're using D'Antoni's system. That's why the Houston Rockets were so good. That's why the Suns were so good. That happens with D'Antoni's system. The only bad system they ever had was the one where they didn't have a point guard who could run D'Antoni's system. And that was in New York. Other than that, every single place D'Antoni's system is gone, he has been able to win games but never be able to win championships. Because once a team can slow you down and make you play half-court offense, you realize you have a bunch of smaller parts to try to go against a larger team. And I'm sorry, you're not gonna beat anybody trying to basically outrun them, and that's your only way to victory. And as I said, you can look at the Nets. That's why I have such a problem with Aldridge. Aldridge gives them a dimension, but if they don't start to utilize him more in the regular season, when he gets into the postseason, he's not gonna be able to be the same player. He's not gonna have the same confidence he had. He's not gonna be the same type of player if they continue to keep using him in these spot roles in which they only need him for a couple. And he's just getting back into it, so I understand. But I mean, he's just getting acclimated to the offense, so I understand. But by the same token, if they think that they're going to run D'Antoni's system all year and then get in the postseason and just try to switch it up, they're going to be in some real trouble. Okay? You're going to be in trouble. You can't do that. That's not how basketball works. You got to have some type of chemistry within the offense in which people know when they're in certain situations who they need to go to. And when you're constantly just running up and down the court all postseason, so that your guys are getting 40, 30, 40-point games. I mean, like I said, I just get angry because it's like people don't get it. Kyrie scored 40 points. Damn now, Jeff Green had damn near 30. That's the offense. As long as you run, you're going to get a wide open shot. The problem is not that you can't win games in a regular season. The problem with that offense is if you continue to rely on it, just like the Rockets did. When you get to a point, the Rockets struggled against the Warriors, not when the Warriors were trying to outshoot them. They struggled with the Warriors when the Warriors were giving it to Kevin Durant in the ISO and making them beat him, making them guard him in isolation. When Steve Kerr finally slowed the game down and started to get the ball to Kevin Durant in isolation, the Rockets couldn't do anything because now you're slowing the offense down, making them beat you one-on-one. And I feel like the Nets are going to run into the same problem, right? They're real good when they're outrunning everybody. They suck when now it's not an easy thing to do, but when you're playing good teams, it is pretty easy to make them play half-court offense. And they think half-court offense consists of just randomly passing the ball around. And that's good if you're the Spurs and you know that eventually the person with the ball is going to make a smart idea. But when you're Kyrie Irving, you saw what happened last night. But end up with him taking on double teams or passing in a turnover. Same thing with Harden. Same thing with Kevin Durant. They're not used to running teams like that. They're not used to running teams in half-court offense. They're used to ISO and run it up and down the court. Okay? So they better get used to playing more half-court games, right? That's why they struggle against the Knicks. That's why they struggle against the Bulls. Teams with big men who can guard, who can spread you out so much so that they can stand at the top of the key. That way, when you try to get back on defense, the center's the first person back. So you can't just run to the rim and then they have to be forced to shoot threes. If teams realize against them, that you just have to get back to the three-point line, not to the rim, it would be a lot easier for them. But the problem is when you got Kyrie Irving running transition, that's a hard thing to do because it's hard to stay in front of him. Same thing with James Harden. The difference in that situation is when you're playing teams who are not playing zone, who are not buzzing, who are not just backing off on you and scared to put their nose in and just drop down in front of you and play you man to man isolation. Yeah, it's not as easy. It's not going to be as easy against the Lakers. It's not going to be as easy against the 76ers, the Celtics. Teams with perimeter guys who can drop down and guard you without help. Now you're transitioning, but everybody's locked up, and now at one point the onus is going to fall on one of your star players to beat someone in isolation, which they can do. But the problem with having three of them is you don't know when you want which one to do it. When you're playing the Lakers and Kyrie is lined up on Schroeder, Kevin Durant is lined up on LeBron, and Harden is lined up on one of the defensive studs that the Lakers have. I mean, take your pick. Who do we go ISO? Do we go ISO with Kevin Durant on LeBron James? That's not a gimme. LeBron James is too smart. LeBron James is going to probably force him into the worst possible shot he can. I mean, if there is a worst possible shot for Kevin Durant, the best idea would be to get the ball to Kevin Durant. Do you think that Harden thinks that? Hell no. Harden thinks that the best option is him, right? It's going to take him to miss about 3 straight before he realizes it's probably best for us to go into Kevin Durant, right? Kyrie Irving, the same difference. It's going to take Kyrie Irving about 7-8 misses before he realized we probably should be getting it to Kevin Durant. And even then, if Kevin Durant hits 3 in a row, he's going to feel like he's out of the loop and going to need 8 more before he realizes just give the ball to Kevin Durant. That's the problem when you have multiple stars. It's not so much when you're winning. It's when when it's chomping time and there's not much left on the bone. So now we can't get our points. We all know we're going to get criticized at the end of this game. I got to make my stats look better because I'm going to be the attack. I'm going to be one of the people that they're going to be talking about. So I got to do something. So those 3 are going to eat more than likely. If they think that they're going to lose, those 3 are going to make sure that they're getting their triple doubles, their 30 points. Kevin Durant his 30 points. The people that are going to take the lion's share of the blame when that happens are the extras. The Blake Griffins, the Andre Drummonds. Then they'll get to a point where it's like, I don't even want to play no more. It's not even fair. They're not giving me the ball, yet I'm getting all the blame. And that's the problem. When you're playing good defensive teams, the shots are not the points are not as freaking they're at a minimum. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting, everybody is not going to have 20 points when you're playing a good defensive team. You're probably going to have one guy who has 12, one guy who has 2. You're going to have to find the best matchup. And sometimes the best matchup is the same matchup every single time down the court. And you just have to be selfless, and get the ball to the best matchup. But I don't see selfless when I see Kyrie Irving. I don't see selfless when I see James Harden. I see people who want to be considered the best players in the league. And when they're getting locked down, that competitive nature to just force up shots to prove that they're still good is going to outweigh their ability to win. Because they don't want to win if they look bad. They don't want to win if at the end of the game they're going to say if Kevin Durant basically carried them. They don't want to win like that. They want to win in which the team is seen as good. So they all got to score 20. Right? So if Kyrie Irving gets his 20, he don't mind passing to Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant gets his 30, he doesn't mind. But when they're about to lose a game by 20, and Kyrie Irving is 1 for 12, I'm sorry, that's not a stat line he wants to be publicized. He's gonna start shooting like hell. Harden, the same thing. So, like I said, chemistry is a very important issue when you talk about the NBA. With the Lakers, and this is one reason why I always say I was so happy when Kawhi Leonard didn't come. I was mad the whole time. I was like, I hope Kawhi Leonard doesn't go to the Lakers. That's gonna be annoying as crap. It's like there's no reason to watch. If Kawhi Leonard would have went to the Lakers, I would have probably not even been watching basketball this season. Last season. It's like it's no point. Ain't nobody beating that team. Kawhi, LeBron, and freaking Anthony Davis. Like, who wants to see that? And I remember when the Lakers fan was cheering for that. I'm like, y'all want to win championships. I understand that, but it's like, dude, these are the most lame duck championships ever. If Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, you got 3 of the top 5 players on the same team. It's like I'm not. I remember thinking like, dude, I'm so happy he did that. I was hoping the whole time Kawhi didn't go to the Lakers. When he went to the Clippers, I was like, thank you. But you know what I'm saying? That's the mindset. Like that's the type of team the Harden them have now. I mean, the Nets have now. And the same people that would have pissed in their tea if LeBron James would have came out and joined with Kawhi Leonard are the same people now who are turning around later and saying, well, what do you want? What do you want? Aldridge is washed up. Well, they got one of the deep. I mean, come on, dude. Look at that team. Trust me, they're not struggling for fresh bodies. They got a lot of contributing players who are adding in. They got depth, they got talent, and they lost all of that when they traded for Harden. Kudos to whoever that GM is. He has busted his button. He's gotten a contender. He got all those pieces they lost. He's found at least a at the very least he's found a reputable substitute. You know what I mean? At the least they're reputable. You know what I'm saying? They're guys who could do it. You know, and I didn't think he was going to. I really didn't. They still haven't found anyone to replace Spencer Dinwiddie, I don't think. But other than Spencer Dinwiddie, I think they pretty much did do a good job of filling out the roster. I mean, if you want to count Harden as replacing Dinwiddie, then yeah. But yeah, I mean, outside of like having a person off the bench that can really generate points, but they don't really need it because they got 5 all-stars. Any one of them could come and run with the second team. Most of the time it's Kyrie. But it's amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? The same narrative gets switched when it's Kyrie Irving now. When LeBron in the Lake, they should. I could talk about the duality of Jordan fans to my eyes, bleed. I mean, they never will recognize it. It will turn around and say, you're being biased for LeBron. And this is the thing that really pisses me off when you start talking about these dumbass commentators. They trying to act like it's equal. Like, oh, you got LeBron fans, you got the Jordan fans, it's kind of crazy. No, LeBron fans are not crazy. I don't hear LeBron fans walking around saying Michael Jordan doesn't deserve to be considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. All of the Michael Jordan's championships he played guys where he had a super team and they had undersized guards and one all-star, right? You don't hear anybody taking any of his championships away. They compare them to LeBron James championships and say LeBron James championships are more because he played rougher competition, which is adequate. There's no way around that. So stop trying to act like LeBron James and Jordan fans are making the same arguments just from different points of view. No. Jordan fans are fucking crazy. They don't even make any sense. They will say something that is so stupid, and you be like, what? Like, having a fight with a Jordan fan is like having a fight with a girl about another girl being good looking. Right? They start bringing up the most asinine, stupid shit. You're like, come on, man, you think anybody is paying attention to that? Yeah, but I'm saying she's cute. I'll give her that. She's cute. But if you look at the side of her eye, it's slightly lower than the other side of her eye. And if you look at her nostrils, they're really big. Yeah. I'm sure that's gonna, send a bunch of the guys, in opposite directions, because her nostrils are too wide. Like, come on, dude, seriously? Nobody gives a shit about that. Those are things you care about because you're looking for anything to criticize the girl on. It's like, I don't like her. Like, what? Not like, hopefully, I'm not trying to make an argument like this is somebody in my life because it's not like, my wife not like that, completely confident. But I'm talking about, I've been around girls like that are just always, no matter what the situation is, they're constantly like not liking a girl. They don't like her because they just don't like her because she's good looking. Like, she's cute. I can see why you don't like her. She's cute. and you don't trust her around. She can't be your friend because every single time she comes around you and your man, you know that your man is going to try to impress her because she's better looking than you are. You know that her man is going to try to be on his best behavior, and you can typically see the difference in the way he acts around her than he does around all your other friends because he knows she's good looking, right? She's good looking. You're jealous of the fact that she's good looking. That's why you hate her. But you can't just say that because that's a tap to the ego. Well, I don't need to hate on nobody. I'm good looking myself. Okay, well, you clearly are intimidated because you don't ever bring up any of this stuff with any other of your friends. Now all of a sudden, this girl, did you see her Facebook pic she put up? I'm like, no, I don't pay attention to random girls' Facebooks. Yeah, she put it up there. It's like, I just don't do that. It's like, okay, well, cool for you. She does. Yeah, but I'm saying, why she got to do that? Because she likes to do that. Like, why does it matter? I'm just saying, I think people should have decency. No, you're mad because she's good looking and she can do that and get 10,000 likes. You put it up there and you get 0 likes. So it's not that you're more decent than she is. It's the fact that she's better looking than you are. So she's prone to take more risks than you are. Stop hating. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing about LeBron James and Jordan fans. It's like, it sounds more like you just know she's good looking, and that best looking of all time is slipping. And so now you can't argue. You have no good reason to argue against why this girl is so hot. So you try to use arguments that have absolutely nothing to do with how hot she is to try to say, well, her personality's bad. Okay, whatever you want to say, Chief. At the end of the day, if they put you on, if you had a choice where your life was on the line, and you weren't a batshit Jordan fan who grew up, and you just took these two specimens, and they said you could have LeBron James' palette or Michael Jordan's palette. 90% of the people on the freaking planet would take LeBron James. They would not take Michael Jordan, whose greatest ability was to shoot a lot. I'm sorry. He's extremely talented. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to knock Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is, in my opinion, is a top 3 player, top 3 player all time, maybe top 5 at the worst, but probably top 3. I don't think he's better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but I do think he's the best guard to ever play and a top 3 player of all time. I just don't think he's better than LeBron. I don't think he's better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I just think he's third, which is not bad. It's better than LeBron James haters who put LeBron James not in their top 10. It's like, you got to be smoking some serious freaking crack. LeBron James is not in your top 10, but Larry Bird is. Magic Johnson couldn't shoot past freaking 5 feet from the goal. Oh, yeah, he's better than LeBron. It's like, come on, dude, stop it. You know damn well if I put a gun to your head and said, you got 1 draft pick to go. If you lose this game, you will die. There is no way in blue hell you're picking Magic Johnson or Larry Bird over no damn LeBron James. Stop it. You're lying. Okay? Stop lying. You're not. You're just doing that shit because you're trying to find a way to demean his argument against Jordan, not against Magic Johnson, and not against Larry Bird. Damn, you're not no Kobe Bryant. There's no way in hell you're picking Kobe Bryant over no damn LeBron James. It's not happening. A guy who's smaller, slower, and not as athletic. Why the hell would you pick him over LeBron James? Not a good passer. He's only a better shooter than LeBron James. Same thing. If you're going to do that, you might as well put Kevin Durant. If you want to say Kobe Bryant is a better player, is a better all-time player than LeBron because he was a better shooter, you might as well put Kevin Durant at the number 1 player of all time because Kevin Durant is the best shooter to ever come through the freaking wazoo. Ain't never been a better scorer than Kevin Durant. So if your whole palette for choosing the greatest player of all time is the fact that they're great shooters, then just put Kevin Durant as your GOAT and just end it. Because there's never been a better shooter than Kevin Durant. So, but if we're gonna use some common sense and have some all-around dialogue about this subject, let's do that and let's talk about what it actually is, which is the best player of all time. That means durability. You know what I'm saying? A durability, availability, longevity, all-around talent. Meaning being able to do whatever you need them to do on the basketball court. There has never been a better player than LeBron James. Not one. You people who try to say that. Every time I say LeBron James is the best all-around player, I guess we forgot Michael Jordan was the defensive player of the year. Who gives a shit? He was never guard. There was never a game where Jordan was guarding the top defender. Top player on the other team. None. Zero. Scottie Pippen did that. So, if you want to try to say because he could play offense and defense, he was the best. He's the best all-around player to ever play the game. You are a fucking moron. You might as well say Gary Payton is the best all-around basketball player to ever play the game. He's a better defender than Michael Jordan was, and he's an adequate offensive player. No best all because you can play offense and defense. How many people in the world can play offense and defense? They literally have a position dedicated to that specific thing. 3D. That does not mean you all around good. That does not make you a great passer. It does not make you a smart player mentally. It just makes you good on offense and good on defense. There's been plenty of people. So you cannot quantify a person's variability when you're not good at rebounding, not good at passing, not good at mentally breaking down defenses to the point that Michael Jordan had two fucking moves: fadeaway three and drive. Fadeaway and drive. He was not breaking down no defenses. He was not using his brain 90% of the time. Michael Jordan was chunking up shots. That's why it pisses me off when they try to compare the two, because there is no comparison. There's no comparison between the two. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. There is no contesting that. Whether you want to talk about stats or you want to talk about any way you look at it. But as I said before, if you want to say Michael Jordan is the greatest player because you like specific things about the way he played, his killer instinct, whatever the hell that means, and or his supreme selfishness where he never passed the ball and he wanted all the glory, so he never let his teammates get too powerful. He never let his teammates get too much shine. Whatever you want to say about Michael Jordan, that's fine. That's what you value. It's not what I value. I do not value the ability to trunk a bunch of shots. I do not value the ability to basically walk around and act like you don't make mistakes and everybody else sucks. That may be what you value in a player. I don't value those things. I think those things are detriments. So, as I said before, you're not picking LeBron. So, if you want to sit up there and nitpick this stuff, you constantly are being reminded. What other player in league history will take a team from 60-some wins to a lottery team? Same thing with the Miami Heat. Oh, they lost with LeBron James. It took them years to recover for that. Right? Because you know why? And people love to use you. Well, that's because teams build around LeBron James. Yeah. How can an organization thrive building around their superstar? All teams do that. Only difference is LeBron is such a freaking handicap when he's on your team, because he can make up for when you can't find a center on the market. LeBron James can do that. When you can't find a point guard on the market, LeBron James can do that. When you can't find a 3-and-D guy on the market, LeBron James can do that. LeBron James can make up for so much that when you lose him, you start to realize how much he made up for. When LeBron James left the Cavaliers, they realized how many guys they didn't have because they couldn't. Because if LeBron James wasn't there, they would suck. So when you take LeBron James off the game, it's like, well, we don't have a 3-and-D guy. We don't have a point guard. We don't have a guy in the post who can dominate. We don't have anybody. How the hell were we winning 60 games a year with this team? Because you had one guy who was making up for every single thing that you lacked. It's the Lakers just at 36. You like, damn, it's the same thing. It's like, how the hell did they go from there to there? A championship team to this? Because AD ain't been here. So we got to see what the difference was. From the top team in the league, it seemed widely, even with him by himself, as a top team in the league. They were competing with every team they played. Teams needed last-second shots to beat them with just LeBron. This very same team. So let's break that down. What about this? The fact that he covers up for so much. You can plug and play him in so many different ways that it makes it unfair for a team. It's like having LeBron James bring like 5 different all-star players to one team. He gives you an all-star point guard. He gives you an all-star 3-and-D guy. He gives you an all-star post presence. He gives you an all-star attack of the rim. He gives you all-star all that. Now he's suddenly gone. You have nobody who can penetrate and pass. Shooter's good, but he's not all-star level, right? You don't have a guy who can make big shots. Kyle Kuzma can fill in, but he can't do it consistently. You don't have guys who can actually anchor a defense and put people in the right position. Yeah, guys can do it, but they still need that guy like Michael to anchor and tell them where they need to be and what reads they need to be making. LeBron James does that. Now he's gone, and they look like shit. Like they don't ever know what they're doing. And you sit there watching the game, and it's like, wow, they are the Atlanta Hawks without Trae Young, with LeBron James gone. That's what they look like. Like they look like the Sacramento Kings. Like what the hell? How can one man take a team from what they were to this? This team is with him and Anthony Davis is considered a championship team. With him by himself, they were competing with the best teams in the league, beating the best teams in the league. Without him, they have to beat on Sisters of the Poor, barely winning by 2 points against garbage teams. They were blowing out everybody they were playing with LeBron. And people were criticizing him for staying in too long in games where they were blowing teams out. With this very same team that's barely beating those very same teams. Respect for those young guys on the Lakers. They're young. I'm not trying to criticize those guys and try to act like they're not great players. They're a great team. They're a very deep team, but they're not specialists, and they're young on top of not being specialists. So you're gonna have some catch up, but it doesn't take away from the fact that when you bring LeBron James into that fold, these young, inexperienced specialist guys become way more valuable when you have someone who can utilize them to their advantage. The Nets are doing a piss poor job of utilizing those talents they have. That looks like total shit over there. After 3 games, I am not impressed with Steve Nash's ability to utilize. The team hasn't changed anything they do. It's the same shit they were doing. It's like, why? As I said before, it's like getting in a Ferrari to deliver the mail. Yeah, it can do it, but it's going to be way more. You don't need it. It's way too much of a hassle when you can just get in get a cheap car and do the same thing easily. That's made for that. And I said Jeff Green was a better fit than Blake Griffin. And lo and behold, that it's being seen through. I'm starting to see they don't know how to utilize these guys. I saw LaMarcus, the way they were using LaMarcus Aldridge, it was disgusting. Like, they don't even know what the hell they're doing with him. They're using him like he's DeAndre Jordan. Except for every now and again he'll flare out, but for the most part they're massively. I had no idea Steve Nash was as bad a coach as he is. He just runs D'Antoni's system, doesn't change anything. I was like, you'd think that they would change it and go more half court sometimes. No, they don't. Same shit. And every time, watch them. Every single time they have to play half court, it's a turnover. Every time. Every single time that there is a half-court offense, they turn the ball over. Harden's hurt because he basically didn't change anything about his game, even with the new additions. Kyrie has changed zero about his team, his game, and that's going to come back to bite him in the butt. He's still chunking up 20 shots, 25, 26 shots for 40 points. Like, that shit is good. And then turning around and end the game acting like he's Kobe Bryant. That's y'all. As I said before, but if Steve Nash got to do a better job, because if he doesn't do a better job, I don't see the Brooklyn Nets winning the East, let alone the NBA title. He has got to do a better job of utilizing that talent. Because if you're just going to use the team you had already, why did you bring those guys in? And if you're going to try to use them when you need them, they're not going to have any chemistry within that offense, and it's going to look like shit. So if you're going to utilize those talents that you have, then utilize those talents. But from what I saw the last 3 games, they haven't changed a damn thing about what they're doing, and all they did was add LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin to substitute for DeAndre Jordan in spells. They basically just took DeAndre Jordan out of the rotation. That's all they did different. And still used everybody else like they were DeAndre Jordan. So that's my point. Anyway, please comment. Let me know what y'all think. Subscribe and thumbs it up if you like it. All right, y'all. Peace.